And we're on.
Excellent.
Sarah Varty, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you're a local event planner and like artist management person, right?
Yeah, I wear a few hats. So I'm a musician and manager in the area. I do have a lot of experience in event planning. I actually did an event planning program, sort of, the music business program over at Durham College. I went back to school.
Cool.
So got more into the business side of music after I did that, which is exciting, but I've always played music. So yeah.
I think understanding the business behind music is something that a lot of musicians like really just don't want to touch. Do you have any advice in terms of like for musicians that are kind of up and coming, at what point like should they maybe start considering finding a manager?
I mean, if you have money and you have, some seed funding, then you can do whatever you want and build whatever team you want because of how much work you want to put into your stuff. But if you have no budget, zero savings for any sort of music, you do have to work to a certain degree to get to a point where a manager is needed. And even for me, I won't take on artists because let me back up. The relationship between a manager and an artist, the success of the artist measures the success of the manager, right? And vice versa. So, and that's financially too, right? So if I have an artist who says, I really like making music, I've never played a gig before, I have a couple of followers on social media, my impression is they still have a lot more work to do before they have somebody come in and give them a plan. I would say that type of artist where they're just emerging, they haven't played a live show yet, they've done a lot of online content. Live shows are very different from online. You can edit as much as you want at home. You cannot edit real life. So those types of experiences I want to see on an artist's resume before I decide to take them on.
Okay.
The model that I run off of, I have 2 full-time artists, but I also do like a la carte services. So if an artist is like, you know what, I just really don't have the time to put together a press kit, but I don't need full-time management, that's a situation too, right? So they'll hire somebody to do a press kit for them or ask somebody to apply to a grant. You can put money towards certain things that you don't have time for. It really varies depending on your situation, I think. And what you want. Some people are just like, no, I don't need somebody telling me what to do and how to do it. And some artists who really enjoy having that organized person, that type A person to say, yeah, this is the plan. These are the things we want to get done. These are the things you have to do, even though we may not want to do them. And then these are the things you get to do. But I think you'll know when you're ready to start looking for somebody to add to your team is the way I'd rather put it than having somebody manage your life, right? Because the impression is that you have an artist manager, you've made it, but that's not the case. You've just made it to a point where you're at a capacity where it's too much work for you. Yeah. And now you need an extra hand.
And for some people, it's not too much work for them. They kind of manage themselves and book themselves and do all of that, right?
Yes, exactly. And some people are really great at being able to compartmentalize all these different pieces of being a musician, or I should more specifically say an artist or a band. So for them, it works. And some people go forever without needing a manager or needing a label or anything like that. But it really depends on what your goals are. And sitting and talking with somebody like me for just an hour and saying, okay, this is what I've got. What's your advice? Am I ready for help? Do I need to do more? And be self-aware enough that your music, it sounds terrible, music should be enough, but the music isn't always enough. You need to have the work behind it too. You need to work as a team with your manager. The manager doesn't do all the work. My artists do a lot of work still. They work hard. We work together as a team to get them where they need to go. We just had Fabian, my artist Fabian Arseniegas, he performed his show here at Bond Street. Up in the lounge. It was super successful. We had a sold out show. It was fantastic. We were really, really happy. He had a great time. But again, that was a lot of work on both our parts. We both had to push to get people there. We both had to push to get this together. It was a team effort. It wasn't just the manager putting it together and him showing up. So I think that's kind of for young artists, they don't realize that it still requires work, even though you have somebody else on your team.
Well, and like in my head, I have like the band of teenagers in my head where like it's their parents doing it.
Yes, of course.
But like, I think they don't necessarily realize how much work is involved in getting gigs, bringing you to the gig and getting you home,
Yes.
buying all your instruments, handling all the equipment that you need, right? There's just like a lot of behind the scenes things that I think aren't obvious to musicians at like let's say a more beginner level of the industry.
It's true. It's true. There's not enough information out there. Even when I started, I thought I was just going to be a performing musician, but it is different now than it was 20 years ago. People can't buy houses on a musician income right now. Typically, I shouldn't say everybody, but for the regular, run of the mill human being I meet in the music industry, that seems to be the vibe.
Yeah.
And so you have to have that second income. You have to have something supporting your music until it becomes, sustainable enough for you. And people don't see that side, especially with social media. We see all of the cool stuff that everybody's doing, right? We're like, whoa, they're like doing a show here and they're, doing some cool video shoot, but really they don't see how many hours got put into getting that done, how much it cost, if it cost anything. People don't talk about the money aspect. And so when I started as a musician, as a teenager, like 12-year-old, I was like, yeah, we're a rock star. But, you don't ever get taught how to make money from it. You get taught how to play.
Yeah.
And so doing my music business course at Durham was where I was like, okay, pandemic happened. I have a bachelor of music. I was like, I'm going to play music for the rest of my life. I did my music degree, and then nobody told me how to earn income from it. So then I was like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah, they forgot that step.
Yeah. And so, I worked and I taught music and I managed a music school in Brooklyn, and we did all that and it was great. But then pandemic happened and I was like, okay, now the music schools are closed.
Plans changed. Yeah.
What do? We go back. And so the music business portion going back, I think was really worth it for me, because then it did. I was like, wow, I didn't realize how many options I had as a music person to where I could work and things I could do that isn't just playing, even though that's what we just want to do.
Well, and there's an interesting thing here that I wanted to talk about, because you are a musician. You're in a really awesome band called Shooters.
Thank you. Yeah.
So like you have the perspective of a musician when you're approaching like planning a live music event.
Yes.
And like for me too, doing the photography thing at live music, I feel like there is some amount of like, I understand what's going on in your head. Right. And it's like, it's good to be relatable if you're just in the industry not playing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Shooter's like a wicked band.
Yeah. Talk more about that. Like what's that project all about?
I say it's a wicked band not because I'm trying to say I have the best band ever, but honestly, we have.
Isn't that like literally your tagline
fun.
is the best band ever? Yeah.
We play both kinds of music, country and western. So those guys, like, I have the most fun that I've ever had on stage with those guys. It's
It's the kind of band that like doesn't take itself seriously. It has like wedding vibes. Like everyone in the room just wants to dance.
That's it. And we want that. We want everybody to feel how we feel when we're playing together. And all of us have like resumes of things we've done and accolades, and like Jake Lozon in our band, he's touring with JP Cormier right now. Like he's a beast, and we all have these things, but when it comes to Shooter, it gives us a space as pro musicians to relax and be silly and have a great time and just engage with people and be the reason other people get to have fun and have a night out and not think about all the other things going on,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how did you get into, because I feel like people who kind of get into the higher levels of doing like professional music tend to move away from doing like a lot of covers and more into originals. That's not Shooters.
No.
Right? So like, was that like a deliberate decision? How did that kind of happen?
Yeah, so cover bands make more immediate income. That's the truth. People want to pay for things they already know, things they want to hear, we are in an era of comfort listening instead of exploratory listening. And I'm not saying that for everybody. There are people that are like, I'm going to listen to music every day and never listen to the same song twice. And that's cool. But I also think that it carves a very hard road for original artists and songwriters who are trying to make their mark, especially in the digital world right now. There's so much content out there, and there are so many people trying to write beautiful music and songs, and just have them heard. And it can be a very hard place to be. It's a very difficult place to sit in and be like, am I ever going to make it? Is my music going anywhere? And it's hard to remember to celebrate your successes, to be like, wow, okay, I released an album. Little me just wanted to put music out there, but now I'm worried that nobody's going to hear it. Whereas, younger version of me would have thought, wow, we wrote a whole album and released it. Like, that is cool.
And it's there permanently now.
And that's it. And the mark keeps moving in music for musicians. I just feel like the mark just keeps moving. You don't get a chance to be like, I've reached success. So it's hard to measure, that's why I think for me, I've branched out into a bunch of different things, because I'm like, what do I love the most? Always playing, but bringing it back to having original music. I tried the original band. It is also a lot more personal when you're playing your own music. So there's a lot of artistic differences, is the way we will put that, to be kind.
Yeah.
But it happens. And everything does get a lot more personal when it's original stuff. So I think for me, I find it more enjoyable to play music that people know, because I see people having fun. And my whole goal when I play music is to have other people feel great and happy. I've never been much of a songwriter. Any original project I've been in has been with other people who are writing the songs. And I think with Shooter, we talked about it. We were like, hey, would we ever write music? But I don't know if we're wanting to step away from what we've got. We've got a really good thing there, right?
Yeah. No, and it is. It's just like the funnest night out you can have, right? Because everyone wants songs they can sing along to.
Yes.
Is really the heart of it, right? And like, if you're doing your own originals, they have to have put the time in to already know your original before they even bought the ticket to the show.
Correct.
Which there's just more steps involved in like enjoying a show to its fullest, I guess, is the
100%.
best way to put it.
Yeah. And honestly, it's, I always have this anxiety of like, I wish I could listen to every song in the world and like be able to explore everything that's ever written, but it's impossible. So it's that like, there's so much cool stuff being put out every day, and it's being missed because they don't have a team behind them, or there's not enough funding, or
I heard a statistic recently that it's something like 75% of all content uploaded to Spotify will never be played.
Like, that's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
How many millions of hours spent on all this and potentially incredible? I'm sure some of it sucks, but like,
good.
Like, so it's crazy that like there's just so much out there that you can't possibly explore all of it, right?
Yeah. And you have to bring yourself back to, where was I? Where am I now? Has there been growth? Have I gained followers? Have I gained a couple of extra people at our shows? Do we have a few people that regularly come to our shows that we didn't know before, that they weren't friends or family or people that we'd invited? And when you start to see that, you are successful. You are bringing in people who are interested in you for you. But I think it's really hard to remind yourself of that, because it is such like and you as a photographer are such a self-deprecating space being an artist.
Well, and because you're always looking at other people, I guess as an artist, you're on some level like seeing what they're doing well and like what I'm failing to do and like the expectations you want to put on yourself.
Yes.
But it can be very toxic when you do that maybe too much, right?
Yeah.
But it's a very like one person at a time in terms of like building a fan base for that kind of thing.
100%. And it's just letting it grow and doing the work and hoping that it works. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But it's, you just got to roll with it and remind yourself why you're making music. Are you making it for you? Are you making it for somebody else? And just stick to that. Like, write it on a piece of paper somewhere in like a little box that you go back to that says, hey, this is why I'm doing this. Don't forget that when you're feeling down and crappy and all of that stuff, right? Like, it's just, and
there will be bad days.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, sometimes I pick up a guitar and it's just like, I don't know any songs. Right? And like do you ever have that kind of feeling where it's like, I don't know anything to play. Like, of
Mhm.
course, there's like 20 things in the back of your head you could do, and all of it just feels boring and sluggish and like not today.
Yeah.
Professionals don't get that luxury though,
No, they don't.
right?
No.
Like if you're booked tonight, you're playing tonight.
Correct. If you have a stomach flu, guess what? Unless you're actively throwing up, you are going on stage.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and we've had that. Like I've there was a gig last year that I was taking cold medicine right up until we got on stage. I hardly remember being up there. I was like, okay, I'm here. We're playing, things are happening, got off stage and immediately got my car, drove home and napped. But it was like that. And I don't remember how well it went. Apparently it was fine.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do. I will say that this job is a little unforgiving for calling in sick, I would say.
Yeah.
And it affects a lot, especially when it gets to like, superstardom level. When somebody cancels, it's,
Right. Well, and there have been
affects
things.
a lot of people.
There have been things that I've been at where it was like someone got held up at the airport and they were 2 hours late.
Yeah.
And there's an angry crowd now
Yes.
who paid $100 a head.
Mm-hmm.
And that what are you supposed to tell them, right?
Exactly.
Because I think you might know this better than me. I think there is like a latest possible time you're allowed to run a show.
Yeah, it depends on like if you started the show later, you mean in the evening?
Yeah, like
or,
if you can't just like
Yeah.
push your ending from
no, because
11
then you
to
have
1
to
a.m.
worry about bylaws and sound laws and stuff like that. So it like the noise. Yeah. So there's that, and then there's also like, well, your fans have already sat around for however long. Do we want to have them stay, or do we refund them and send them home? And for local people, it's not a big deal, but especially when there's Toronto shows and you have people from like North Bay who are like, I'm going down to see Taylor Swift. Right.
Yeah.
We'll just name drop Taylor right now because
Sure.
she's a good example of like if a Taylor Swift show got canceled, it would be crazy.
Well, that's
and
millions
the amount
of
work
dollars
just to get her
right?
ticket.
Yeah.
Right. So it is a very unforgiving space for taking time off and taking time for yourself. I think that there are, I just got an email from a study that was done. I'm part of like a women's music group, and they did a study of like, is a very large number. 54% of the people that they interviewed in the music space had thoughts of suicide and thoughts of like poor mental health. Like that's huge. That's a big amount. And 43%, the other 43% had struggled with mental health. I think 87% total of everybody had suffered from mental health and it had affected their work.
Oh.
So like we don't talk about that as much in the industry either. But I think with things like taking time off of work and all that stuff, it's trying to find a forgiving space because we're all human beings.
Yeah.
Like we forget, like we lift artists up and we put them on this big pedestal and it's like they're superhuman, and we forget that they're like you and me.
Yeah.
Literally just walking around.
Well, and I had a friend a while ago telling me about, in his opinion, like to be an artist is to, in some way, struggle with those kinds of things, right? Because in so many ways, you're trying to do something that's impossible.
Yeah.
Right. And like really express what's going on in your head out there in the world.
Yeah.
And you're always going to fall short of your own expectations of yourself, I think.
Yes.
Right. So it's just like it's a very natural thing for people to have thoughts like this. And it's not talked about enough.
No, it's not. And I think the exciting part about music now, there's like a big sober culture happening. A lot of people are eliminating drugs and alcohol from their lifestyle, and that's huge for the music industry because it was very party for so long, and it's more acceptable to be sober. And that sounds funny. Of course, it should be acceptable to be sober, but people are like, "Oh, you're not drinking? That's kind of weird." Like it's a very funny industry thing, but it's nice to see. Like I talk about to my artists all the time, hey, let's check in. How are you feeling? Do you have anything going on? Like management becomes more not just talking about their work, but also their personal life because it affects their work. So it's different if you have an office job and you're going there day to day, and you have a day where you're like, I need to take a day off. Fine. Nobody really checks in on you, but this is such a personal relationship that you build with the artist and music in general. I think any art really, but it gets very personal. So I think being able to talk more openly and have more access to networking with people who can give you resources for mental health, and not everybody knows. Like for kids and bands, they're like, I just want to play. And that's great, right? Going back to that. But then if they continue, they need to also know it's not just about the work, but it's also about the self-care too. And I'm not talking like the trendy self-care, go get yourself a matcha this week, like not that. I'm talking like really take time to make sure you're okay up here. Every once in a while, just to keep going, because this industry can be awesome and beautiful, but it can also be really hard.
Yeah.
That's why we all end up branching out into different things.
So going back to the sober thing,
Mm-hmm.
so what do you think that's going to mean in the long term for like the industry? Because right now it relies on the money from alcohol sales.
Yeah. So interestingly, I went to Venue by Venue in London, which is a conference that they do every year there. And they had a handful of people, venue owners there, talking about this. And I asked that specific question. So it's funny you thought the same thing. Actually, it wasn't Venue by Venue. They talked about it there too. They talked about it here. They had a networking thing here. They talked about it here too.
It's a common
everywhere.
concern,
yes.
right? And there's also like younger people don't want to go out late at night either.
Yes. And so they said, same thing too. Shows need to stop being so late. But that's a whole other thing. But in saying that, the amount of options for non-alcoholic beverages now, like they have so many 0% beers and so many, they haven't seen a big difference even between the musicians and like this sober culture, which is a great culture. I hate calling it a sober culture because it makes it sound trendy. It should be, it's like getting healthy. But
it's like, don't do this every night. If you're like a professional going out like 3 times a week, right? You can't get hammered every time.
Yes.
And ideally when you're playing, like I have a personal rule of like, no drugs, no alcohol, nothing. If I'm picking up an instrument, right?
Yeah, and for some people, it helps them feel confident enough. Like there's so many nerves before you jump onto stage, that people do use it as beta blocker, right? So, I think the cool part about the venues owners, what they were just said, like, hey, this has actually not affected our sales because there are so many non-alcoholic options for people, which is great. And they charge the same for because it's still being manufactured as a beer. It's still a premium beverage, if you may. And there's a lot of bands who are now like taking full kitchens on tour with them and cooking proper meals and like, all of that kind of stuff. Pride Toronto, they have like a sober oasis stage, and their artists are actually required to refrain from any sort of talking about any sort of topics about drug or alcohol use, or any sort of addictive. I think gambling might be another one, but I may not be 100% on that, so don't quote me. But they have a stage specifically for people who are trying to stay sober but want to go and enjoy a concert setting, and for the artists as well, because it is a very tempting space. So I think that it's cool to be able to see that people are creating spaces for that too.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to, we mentioned there's this thing on Sunday here. It's going to actually be the day before we release this episode.
Oh, nice.
Called Amplify and Connect. It's like a women in music networking kind of event. Do you know anything about this? Can you talk about it?
Yeah, so I know about it enough because I'm attending on Sunday, so I'm very excited. And of course, it's on International Women's Day, which should be pretty cool. And then my artist, Cameron, has a show in the evening at Rivoli. So it'll be like a really fun day of ladies. That sounded terribly naughty, but I did not mean it like that. But anyway, take it as you will. But I'm excited because it is a really cool opportunity to network with women that I may or may not know of in this community. I know a lot of male musicians and a lot of men in the industry, but I don't necessarily know as many women. And I think it creates a good safe space for us. We feel freer to ask questions and not be afraid to ask for things or feel ridiculed. So it's a good safe space for that. I'm excited to see how that goes. They have some activities too, which would be great.
Yeah.
And they have some ladies performing after, I think Ashley Murray and Sarah from My Son the Hurricane, which is cool. I'm a huge fan of that band, so I'm super excited to hear her. But yeah, so it should be, I think it's a really neat event, and hopefully it's as successful as I think it should be.
Yeah. Well, and so there's this kind of trend that you notice if you start hanging out in the music world that like there's just a lot more guys in this industry, right? Like, where do you think that comes from?
That's a whole conversation, Steve. But but I mean, I always joke, most of my coworkers are dudes, and I'm okay with that. There's nothing wrong with it. But there is something to be said about an example. I just started an all-female project. We're not announcing ourselves yet, so that's all I'll say about it. But, a moment happened where I was setting up a PA for us for rehearsal, and my one bandmate said, I've never actually been taught how to roll a cable correctly. But I realized it's because we're afraid to ask, because it's different now. But even growing up, I've experienced a lot of sexism, and I'm not one to look for it. I don't even classify myself as a feminist per se. More of like, I just want people to be treated equally.
Yeah.
We're just humans. And I have a lot of talented male friends, and I have a lot of talented female friends. So that doesn't differentiate for me, but I have experienced things differently than my male cohorts. So for example, my bandmates will be called guitarists and bassists and drummers and singers, but I will be called a female drummer. I'm separated by that, which is weird. Like, it doesn't affect me. I'm not hurt. Oh gosh, they're calling me a girl. I'm a girl. It's not, that's not the problem, but it's because there's immediately a separation there. I think more men are raised in society to feel comfortable being brave enough to put themselves out there. As women, we often are raised societally, right? Not necessarily if our parents are, trying to fight against the social norms, but we are, be polite, be quiet. It's okay. Don't show big feelings. This is right. And for music shows a lot of big feelings.
Yeah.
And especially for me, I'm hitting things and making noise. This is like a whole, like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Right. So I chose my whole life. I chose to hit things and make noise. And so I think, without rambling too much, I think being told to not by society, not necessarily my parents have always supported me, but, these big feelings need to be pushed down, and boys will be boys. They can be loud and be excited and be crazy. And I see it even in my students, between my male and female students. There is a difference between how they approach the drum set. Right?
So do you think that's just like based on their upbringing, or is it like the natural tendencies of boys versus girls?
I think that it's more of, it's hard to say upbringing because everyone's brought up differently.
Sure.
But I think generally society, I do. I don't think that it's a natural thing. I mean, my niece loves monster trucks.
Yeah.
She's 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, she loves them. There's nobody's telling her, hey, monster trucks are for boys, right? But for me growing up, I specifically remember moments like that. And so I do think things are turning around, but I think that's why there's a lot more men who are, you know what? There's a lot of women in music, but we just don't hear from them. And I think that's the difference. Yeah. Right? We're hearing from the boys, but not the girls.
Well, and because I'm hanging out at Emerson Ireland's open mic.
Yes.
It's, a very male dominated event, right? And it's the kind of thing where,
and again,
you have
wrong
probably like 10 guys in the room, and 3 girls might show up. And I can just see how that would be an intimidating thing to approach, right? Yes. But it's weird because I think there are just as many girls that like music and play music as guys, right? It's just the timidness of not wanting to go out in public.
And feeling comfortable in the space.
Yeah.
My bandmates never get questioned about what they do and how they do it. I think that's something that there have been moments and they know they'll step in for me if I need it, but they won't defend me if I'm like, I'm cool, I've got this, right? Because that's a whole other issue in itself. But, I had a festival that I was playing out with my original band way back when, and I was trying to get off stage, and I had asked the crew to not touch my stuff, that I was going to load it on. I didn't need help because I have a system, not because I'm rude. I was just like, I have a system. Yeah, literally. Like, don't touch it. But it's because I knew where everything was.
Yeah.
My cymbal bag happened to be the same cymbal bag as the drummer before me.
Oh dear.
And so they did. They touched my stuff. They brought it up. And I don't know if they would have touched it if I was not a woman. And I've seen this on stage actually early days with the Beaches. I saw a thing happen with Crew on stage with them. So it happens. And I don't know if it's intentional. It's not like they purposely say to themselves, oh, this is a girl. She needs my help, even though she's not asking. I don't think it's that. I think, again, it's just a societal thing where we just do it.
Also,
right?
Sometimes it's a sound tech attitude thing.
Oh, 100%. We love
there's big personalities.
We love our crusty sound guys. But that wasn't the issue, because they had moved it and my stuff got mixed up with the previous drummers. I'm trying to load on. We have a 15-minute changeover. They had already taken up 10. And yeah. And they'd move my stuff. Now I'm like, okay, I need my cymbals bag. He's like, oh, we have the same cymbal bag. We're like besties. I'm like, okay.
Like, I'm busy right now.
Fine, right? Trying to move, but then we had the same cymbal. He's like, oh my gosh, we have the same cymbal. We should get married. Like, it was just like, so. Ooh. I'm like, would you say that to a dude? Like, that's weird, right?
Okay.
And so, and little things, I get called dear a lot, or hun, and like that, but my bandmates don't experience that. And it's small stuff. This is not like, I'm not being stoned to death because I'm a woman. There are bigger fish to fry, but there are little intricacies that happen. And there's been some terrible things that have happened to me that we won't go into, but like from being on stage as a woman. So it's just, you are treated differently. There's no, and I think that creates a space for women where we feel unsafe to be able to, and unsafe, not in that I feel like I'm going to die, but I don't feel comfortable enough to be open and say, I need help with this, without being judged on, oh, she doesn't know because she's a girl. Yeah. And so we end up having to figure things out on our own, or lean on our other female cohorts, which is why I'm excited about Sunday, because I get to meet more people who have experienced things like me and understand the industry that way.
Well, but there's this other end to it that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Of like, because you called out Taylor Swift earlier.
Yeah.
This is a woman who can make $20 million in a night, and everyone will come back next time she's in town.
Correct.
Right? So there is at the kind of like mid to lower levels, there's like this oppression thing, but at the upper levels of it, there's this like, women are actually doing better on average, you would think.
It's hard to know without seeing behind closed doors. Like,
right.
Where did they have to get where they are? I mean, we could bring up Kesha, right? She went through a lot with her record label. She was being,
messed around with,
touched and not wanted to be touched, and all these things that were happening so that she could get to where she wanted to be. This is something that's been happening in the industry forever, and there's lots of stuff out now that makes us even more aware of these things that we won't bring up in this podcast, because we have happy vibes here. But in saying that, I think it's important to remember that, this isn't just for women. Music is hard for everybody, but I would be interested to know what experiences Taylor has had from, say, Bruno Mars.
Sure.
Right? What that would look differently. We'll never know, because I don't know if I'll ever be in a room with both of them to ask them. But again, yes, because once you start making a certain degree of success and wealth, then suddenly you're untouchable, or,
you have the Prime Minister of Canada tweeting, "Oh, I wish Taylor Swift would do a concert in Canada this year," kind of thing. And it's like you're involved in things that are larger than music,
yes.
right?
Yeah. So I just feel you may be right. Yes, once we get to a certain level of success, then we're taken seriously.
I feel like the ceiling is higher, is I guess what I would say.
Yes, it is. It is. And often when I walk into a space, people think I'm helping my drummer bring stuff in. That's the other, right? They assume that I play piano or I sing. So it's, those types of little social nuances that people don't see. And I don't come home and, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person, like that, it doesn't affect me in that way for the most part.
But it's like just acknowledging that there's a difference.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And, same thing happens to male musicians as you do female musicians when we're on stage. People are weird around musicians. But in general, I find there's a level of respect amongst musicians, not just the audience goers, that it's sometimes depending on who you're with. I mean, I'm very comfortable with my bandmates. I've never thought they treated me any differently, but it doesn't go that way always. I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? I want to kind of get into some of the stories of like audience members that didn't know how to interact with musicians appropriately. Because I feel like you've got a few.
I do.
From the kind of shows that you're doing
I do.
here, right?
And Shooter is a very like, yeehaw, let's go vibe. And so people take it a little far. I won't mention which bands these are happened to. I will just say stories that have happened because I don't want to speak out of pocket. But you know, as much as too, I'm advocating for women to have a space. These things happen to men as well. I've had a bandmate get his bum slapped while he was playing guitar. He was not asking for that. Even, you know, doesn't matter whether he's taken or not. You don't put your hands on people. We often get flashed. I've seen a lot of boobs, considering that I didn't ask for them. And, you know, people go wild. They start drinking, they're having fun, and music makes people funny. And also, audience members sometimes forget that personal space exists around musicians as well. I mean, Taylor Swift had somebody break into her house, we're bringing her up again, and sleep in her bed. Like, that's just weird behavior.
I have not heard of that. That's wild.
Yes. So these weird things happen. So even at the higher scale, especially, but yeah, just like think of how crazy people go over other human beings in music, you know, like looking back at the videos of the women when they're watching the Beatles play, they're wild, right? And my one bandmate, an audience member actually came up and tried to kiss him on the mouth while he was playing. He dodged it. And of course we joke about it now, but you know, it made him very uncomfortable. And he was good enough to go over and say, please, you know, that's not appropriate. And I'm married and like, you know, please don't. And I've had moments with bandmates where they said, I need you to pretend to be a partner right now, because people wouldn't leave them alone. So this is for both men and women. This isn't just, this is happening with all male.
Well, and I think it's, because some people will like only go to one show in a year. Yeah. And then that one show is like they're let loose, drink everything, do everything.
And do that.
Party on. And then they forget that like to you, this is another day in the office.
Yes.
In a very real sense, right? And maybe you are partying, maybe you're not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I think some people just don't have the like mental wherewithal to think about, maybe this person's not in the same headspace that I'm in right now, right?
Yeah, and there is this sort of like, and I've felt it. I've gone to see my favorite bands, and I'm like, wow, I'm enamored with these people, and I've felt those feelings, but I have always kept my hands to myself. Yeah, you know, I feel like that's the difference. So that's the. Those are a few of the many stories that we've had. Those are the more exciting ones for sure.
So trying to think, what else do we want to talk about here?
We can talk about so many things, Steve.
You're at Long McQuade.
I am. Yes, I am.
The birthplace of everything. It's where they come from. The guitars, the drumsticks, everything.
Yeah, and the musicians, we actually just like are birthed out of the walls. Yes,
they just kind of like emerge through the brick.
Show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day we're just on the drums or on a guitar. Yeah.
So I mean, because like for me personally, I've always been a self-taught musician. But you're doing lessons, right? So like, why don't we talk a bit about that and like do you think lessons are like a necessary thing for everyone? Do you think, because I think there's a lot of like shyness with a lot of people about going to a lesson.
So I can kind of say I was a bit of both. I actually didn't take a private lesson in my life, aside from piano, when I found out I needed it for school, until I went to university. And so I was entirely self-taught until I went to university. I think that you don't need lessons to be a good musician. You don't need lessons to be a successful musician. but I think it helps.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me that I notice when I have students who are self-taught and come to me later, is the technique. So there's a lot of resources online. You can learn so much on YouTube tutorials, and there's so much great stuff out there, but there's nobody there watching how you're moving and how you're holding
Yeah,
your
there's no one like
instrument.
slapping your elbow and like, no, you hold it like this and not
Yes.
this, or
And
whatever
and
it
I
is.
think that's the biggest thing. I mean, it depends on your goal. If you want to learn how to read music, getting a teacher is probably going to be more helpful than you struggling and trying to learn it on your own.
Hmm.
But at the same time, if you're not interested in learning how to read and you just want to play, go for it, right? Um,
But if you want to play and have the ability to improvise,
yes,
you
you need to.
may need a teacher for that.
Correct. It's definitely never a bad thing. I do think, like, and even as a musician, regularly take lessons still. Right. My teacher is phenomenal. I've been with him for 7 years, and I think he's stuck with me for the rest of his life.
Well, and it's one of these things that, like, as you get to a higher level, you come to the teacher and say, I want to work on this skill.
Yes, and that's it. Now I know what I want and what I need to ask for, and so we work from there. But it also gives me motivation as a musician to continue practicing too, because life can be so busy, and trying to carve out time to play for your own stuff can be difficult. And so when I have lessons, I'm like, okay, I have a deadline. I have to get this done by this date, and then there's the motivation there. But I do think, even for kid, like, we'll talk about kids and we'll talk about adults for lessons, because there is a difference there. For the kids, it's not just about them learning music. They may play the instrument for a couple years and then never play it again once they graduate high school. But the skills that they learn, whether they're doing recitals, so it's that learning how to be in front of a group of people, fighting those anxieties, learning how to think critically, like, how am I going to approach this piece? How am I going to start playing this song? Like, all of those things, and you're learning a whole new language. It's just, not spoken word. So it's that side of it too. I have a lot of students with ADHD. Drums just attract that style of student.
Smack stuff.
Right. And it's so cool for me to see from lesson 1 to lesson 30, how their focus has changed, and how that instrument has allowed them to take that hyperactivity in their brain and just quiet it down so they can focus on music. Right. And so it's really neat to see. For adults, I find we're so fearful to learn new stuff. We're not good at putting ourselves in vulnerable positions.
Well,
like
it's kind of like you're putting yourself into I'm the child again, and this is the adult, and you can tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Right? A lot of people, I think, don't like that feeling.
Correct. And I get that. Like, even though I'm taking my own drum lessons, if I take a voice lesson or piano lesson, I'm right away, I'm like, I failed. I suck. I cannot do this. Like, immediately shut down. And so when I have adult students, I think it's very brave of them, firstly. And secondly, their goals are different, right? Most of them are like, I never got a chance to do music, and now I want to do it. And I'm like in my 50s.
And you're much more likely to be doing it because you want to, rather than because someone told you to.
Yes. Luckily for me with drums, it's not often an instrument kids are forced into.
Yeah.
Like, that's more of like
No,
a
that's the one that the
piano.
parents want to get you off of.
Yes. It's true. Can we shout out to parents who let their kids play drums? Because honestly,
Yeah. Right?
it's noisy.
When they do like the open mic in 222 here, and like someone will be like practicing before they even start up, and you can hear it in the whole building.
Yes.
And this is a big building,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, they are loud. But with adults, it's cool because they're like, I just want to learn songs. I just want to learn to do this, or this is for me and my own enjoyment. And this is my half hour a week, or an hour, depending on how much time they have with me, where I get to sit and do something for me. And I've, like, my oldest
It's someone's
student,
self-care.
Yeah.
Right?
My oldest student that I've had was 72. My current oldest student is turning 70 this year, and she's rocking it. She's
Happy
like,
birthday.
yeah, I want to keep, yeah, right. And she's awesome. And so it's even in senior years, like they talk about, especially drumming really helps with your cognitive, like your functions, your motions, connecting your brain with your limbs, all of that stuff. So it's really not just about the music, but really making your brain work, which I
Yes.
think the amount of tech we have and scrolling, it's a nice break
Hmm.
from all of that.
Well, like that just reminded me of a story from I think this was like last summer. I used to like to go to Oshawa Botanical Gardens to just sit and practice
Hmm.
guitar for a while.
That'd be a nice place to play.
Oh, it is. And
Mm-hmm.
but for a while there was this nearby retirement home that I think it was like every Tuesday afternoon or something.
Mm-hmm.
They would have like a drum circle there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like sitting there with a guitar and I'm like, okay, I'll
yeah,
I'll walk over. And
yeah.
we ended up like playing music together. It was kind of a like really fun, just like organic thing that happened.
And like, how cool is it that you don't know any of these people and you just sat down and done this thing with them? No judgment, no need to call each other afterwards. You're
No.
like, I just had a like cool interaction with humans and now I'm going home. And
Yeah.
that's it. It's so enjoyable.
Right.
Yeah. And I think too, this is bringing us back a little bit to the management thing and music in general. But when we work so hard at our craft, we forget to have moments like that.
Mm.
Organic music moments is what I like to say, but it's so difficult because you have that business lens on that you're like, oh, do I have the time? I really shouldn't be spending the time just jamming. I need to go do this,
Mm.
right? And I think there's something so beautiful about music, of the impromptu music happenings that occur, like a random drum circle that you see
Mm.
and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna join.
Yeah.
And you've already taken a brave step by just sitting down with strangers and being like, yeah, let's play.
Yeah.
So and drum circles are fantastic. You don't need to have a lick of music in you
Oh,
to be
and
able to jam.
well, some of them are like really old, like dementia problems, and they're
Yes.
just
Yeah, they're just giving her. Yeah. Because why not, right? Yeah, and I easier said than done, but I really think music is a chance just to enjoy an activity that keeps your brain going and sounds cool,
Hmm.
and yeah. And you can do it with other people,
Yeah.
right?
So something you just touched on there that I want to kind of ask about is what does your practice routine look like now
Hmm.
as someone who's
You're
much
putting
further
me on the
along into
spot.
this, right?
Yeah, okay.
And obviously it's not the
Fair.
same thing every time,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, I can tell you what I would want it to be in a perfect world. No, I'm just kidding.
okay.
So right now it's whenever I have an hour or two. And it's hard to sit down and play for just 15 minutes
Hmm.
because what I want to play takes time. So um, it's I'm trying to get into a mindset of like, if you have 15 minutes, just go and play something.
Hmm.
I'm trying really hard to push myself instead of being like, I need a block of time. So I'm struggling with that.
And I
my
guess that's a
current-
difference between drums and guitar is like it's something you have to sit down at and like go to the room where it's set up.
Yeah, you can't just like
You can't
take
just
with
grab it
you.
and yeah.
Yeah. But I think right now when I'm practicing, again, it's whatever my private lessons need me, but most of the time it's fast track learning songs for bands, right? So although I'm in bands, if somebody needs a session drummer or their drummer can't make it, then I will step in. And sometimes that gives me a week to learn 20 songs and I'm like, oh my God. So then of course it's cramming. So I don't get any of my personal practice done. So I would say personally, my practice is probably, oh my gosh, musicians are going to judge me, like maybe an hour or two a week for my own personal stuff. And I wish
And I
that
bet
it
it
was
varies
more.
wildly
I
from
wish
week
it
to
was
week.
like 2 hours a day,
Yeah.
you know? But it's just how busy life has gotten for
Yeah.
me personally.
Well, and it's about like how much time do you need to get what you want to do done.
Yes, and the motivation mentally as well to feel like you had touched about you touched on it like way earlier about how you sit with your guitar and you're like, I know songs, but I just feel like, what do I play right now? And that's unless I have something that I do need to work on, I'm like, I have no inspiration. What do I? And I'm that's where I'm at my practice right now. I know some musician friends of mine are super diligent. They're like, I wake up at this time and I practice from here to here and I do this. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I wish I had that.
Yeah,
but-
and like really approaching it like it's your
Yeah.
occupation.
Correct. But because, and this is something that I have to work on myself, because I'm teaching, playing, managing, and doing events like we had mentioned before, my schedule is different every single day. So it gets a little crazy trying to find the same time every day to do that thing. it's actually a goal this year for me to start playing more piano, as much as I hate it, which is hilarious. But I feel like I need it. So yeah, I would say spending an hour to 2 hours is like awesome.
Yeah.
To find time right now for personal stuff, but it's mostly writing charts and practicing those songs and making sure that I don't mess up somebody else's set when I'm playing with them.
And you kind of moved away from like practicing to more like preparing.
Correct. That's the best way to put it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I do wish I could practice more than prepare, because it feels more
more
reactive than
exploratory, I guess.
proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't often find times to just sit and play for fun, which is too bad, because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like when you're listening to music, do you like try and venture off into like weird new stuff, or are you like same kind of 5 songs on repeat?
Depends on the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of the time, the music I'm listening to is music that I have to learn. So my Spotify Wrapped is always hilarious, especially because I teach drums. Seven Nation Army is almost always my number 1 song, even though I don't listen to it in my own time. So, but for listening, I do try to listen to new stuff. Sometimes I find new songs from my students, which surprises me because I don't often share music tastes with them. I listen to a lot of more indie stuff, and I do like to spend time checking out artists here. They're where I live, and listening to them. So, you know, like Maitreya, they're
So
like
great.
a cool metal band from here, and
March
they're amazing.
28th at Biltmore?
Yeah, they're playing at the Biltmore. Mark is, I work with Mark, one of the guitarists, at Long McQuade, and him and I've known each other a long time. And I told him the other day, I was like, you know, this song came on my Spotify, and I was like, man, this rips. And then I looked down and realized it was his band. And I was like, wow, like that really says something, that I forgot that it was his tune. Well, his band's tune. I shouldn't say just his band's tune. And I was like really jamming to it, and was like, yeah, this is awesome. And then realized, wow, that's my friend. This is somebody that I know. And that like goes back to the whole, there are so many people putting out cool music.
Well, there's an interesting thing there in how you're going to approach music from people you know very differently than like from the radio.
Yes.
Even though it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And there's I think a disconnect there that a lot of musicians don't see themselves as like the Taylor Swift of the world.
Yeah, it's true. And we all have quite a fair amount of imposter syndrome, I think.
Right.
You know, like even...
But it's like yourself and also the ones that are around you, because they're just like me.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, really, you're just like the people on the radio too, though.
It's true. They just maybe had more funding, or they've been doing it longer, you know? And to be honest, a lot of the songs I hear on the radio right now, I'm not into it. Like, I don't know if I'm vibing with it that much from what I'm listening to.
I think it's just like the soulless, you had 5 songwriters, all of them kind of did the last 20 top 10 hits. Like,
there is in the industry like these cookie cutter songs that make it big, and they are hits because they are strategically written that way, rather than written from a place of love for music. I'm not saying there wasn't any love for the music they were writing at the time they wrote this like cookie cutter hit, but it generally seems to feel like very different when you hear it, you know? And even though I play drums, you know, people are like, what do you listen to? I'm like, I actually don't listen to drum heavy music. It's just not I'm more into the lyrics and vocal, and a vocalist can either make it or break it for me, truthfully.
yeah.
But I am a Rush fan, so I don't know what to say about that. Maybe I'm I do like Eddie. But yeah, so I think I wish that I had more time to explore music, and I took the time to explore more music. That's definitely something that I've thought about a lot in the last year, is how much I listen to music that I have to play, not necessarily what I want to listen to.
Yeah, and it's just like a difference in like what you want to listen to versus what you want to play. Because like for me personally, and like this has been changing lately, but like the music I'm playing is really not at all like what I would listen to.
Yeah.
Right? Like I do a lot more playing acoustic stuff, kind of like in the, I don't even know what genre to put myself into here. But like when I'm listening to music, it's all like rock, electric guitar, sometimes like jazz with like a horn section kind of stand.
Nice. Yep.
But like I think it's just one, there's the practical reality of like getting people together to do that kind of music.
Correct. Yeah.
And then two, it's like the like inside your head, what does it feel like standing on stage doing that kind of thing? And do I want to do it versus do I want to like watch it?
Yeah.
Right. And they don't have to match for you. Right.
Exactly. It's a good point. And I think I do feel it's hard now to even explore new music in the way that you want to because we have an algorithm.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? I got pleasantly surprised and the algorithm spat out this song at me that was like, oh my God, this is like freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and is it better or worse than just wandering through a record store, I guess is the question.
It's true. I mean,
or like just listening to the radio and now a corporation's controlling what you're hearing.
Yes. There. Yeah. Well, and as a millennial, like I remember going to the Sunrise Records or like whatever CD store and being like, this album cover looks cool. I don't know what this band sounds like, but it says they're a metal band. Let's take that home and listen to it. And sometimes it was great. And sometimes I'm like, man, I just wasted $20. But for the most part, it's really funny because you're just going by face value. So it could be brilliant music, but the album cover didn't catch my eye. So then I didn't pick it. Right. Yeah. So it's hard to find how to discover music in the right ways. I think finding like-minded humans who prefer music like what I listen to and talking to them about what they're hearing lately is kind of where I go. I do have, there's like a Facebook group, making me sound old being on Facebook still, but there's a Facebook group of friends of mine from my hometown, Halliburton, and it's gotten a lot bigger, but we exchange songs. So like literally someone's like, this is what I was listening to this week, and you listen to it or you don't, and sometimes it's cool and sometimes it's really weird because my friends listen to weird stuff, which is great. But Frank Zappa was weird and I love Frank Zappa, so we're but yeah, it's really, I think music is a community thing, and if people are saying this sounds great and you listen to it and you feel the same, great, and if you don't, it's okay. I find with the industry, they do it's gonna sound very terribly businessy, but they do play songs to a point and on purpose, to the point where you get more familiar with the song. It gets stuck in your head. So maybe you heard this song upon first listening. You're like, I really don't like this song. And then you hear it again. You're like, oh, here's this song. And you hear it more. And then suddenly you have the chorus memorized and it's getting stuck in your head. And then all of a sudden you're like, I like this song.
No,
I'm
this
singing
is my favorite
along.
song now. Yeah.
Correct. And that's kind of like this indoctrination of like pushing the music they want us to hear from the big three, right? Like Warner, so the whole thing. So that's that side of it kind of is, which is why I don't like listening to radio as often, unless it's like college radio, because they got cool stuff on there.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like really, in so many ways, Spotify and like streaming services have just taken that seat.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
It's
and
true.
The big three can still kind of play that system too. I mean, they're still the ones getting rich today. Yes. But you have the choice to listen to what you want.
Yes.
And to find new stuff if that's what you want to do, 100%. Or listen to the same 5 songs on repeat if that's what you want to do.
And the other thing that you can do with streaming services is like, oh, I like this song.
Yeah,
I'm
save.
liking it, and now I can go back to it. Whereas you hear it on the radio forever ago, you don't have the internet to quickly go and find it.
Yeah, you didn't have your phone to...
When Shazam existed, right? Like all this stuff. So Shazam, I don't know if people even use that anymore now, but...
Oh, it's not built into the... Like you can...
Oh, holy smokes, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, you're teaching me new things. But yeah, so that's like, it is something funny as a musician to be like, oh, you must listen to music all the time, but really it's the stuff I have to learn. Like for Shooter, this kills all of my bandmates because they all love country music. I do not like country music at all.
Partner.
But it is very fun to play.
Yeah. No, and that's, someone else was asking me about this just before we came on, that like, oh, so do you really like country music? And I'm like, it's never what I would listen to, but out of all the shows I've been to, country ones are always the fun ones.
Yeah, it's just
right,
it's
just the way that the crowd feels and people are dancing, and you usually know about roughly half the songs, even if you're not a country person.
It's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I that's my my take on country. And it's funny. I mean, I grew up in a small town. Country was very prevalent. It was a huge genre of music everybody listened to. Maybe that's why I didn't like it. I don't know.
You know what? Me too.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Did you?
Well, and yeah, because I grew up in like farm country
Yeah.
near Georgetown.
Oh, okay.
But it was, to me, it just felt like, I know you're not actually that country. So, and like, I know you're lying about like actually enjoying this. Like, you don't drive a pickup truck. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, hey, like what you want to like, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think a big mental block a lot of people have with country is like, really, country is just rock with certain lyrical content and certain instruments.
Mm-hmm. And that twang.
That twang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes you get the banjo.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the slide.
Yes, the slide guitar is cool. You know what? For anybody who can learn,
That's
how
a
to play that,
bucket
like,
list
it's cool.
instrument, is like getting
Is
an
it?
actual pedal steel.
Yeah.
But it's like that's more than a grand piano for an instrument that I'll probably play twice.
Yeah, you're
And like, okay, no, I can't do this.
It's an investment for sure.
Well, it's also it takes up space.
Yes, it does.
Right? Like, you can't fold that up and put it in the case when you're done playing it. I mean, you have to, I guess, if you're like traveling. But like in your apartment, you need to dedicate a section to this.
And if you put it in the case, how likely are you to bring it out and practice?
Exactly. Yeah, and set it up for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, forget about your sit down for 15 minutes to practice. You're taking 20 minutes to even get started, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So country's not my thing. I mean, I respect, there are some artists that I do listen to. I won't say I won't listen to country entirely. Chris Stapleton is one of those people that I'll listen to, but I'm not with it, which is painful for most of my bandmates, because they'll be like, okay, we're gonna add this song to the list. I'm like, I've never
You're
heard
like,
that.
which one?
Yeah, they're like, what? How do you not know?
And it's funny how everyone has moments like this where everyone around you knows the song and you don't, and you feel like the outsider.
Yes.
But once again, it's an imposter syndrome thing
course.
of like, everyone has that at some point in the night,
Of course.
right? No one knows every song that comes on.
Correct. And if they do, then that's amazing.
Yeah, they're probably a DJ at that point,
yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah, so it is. We experience all different types of music in different ways, and it's personal to everybody.
All right, you know what? I think we're going to kill it there.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I would say check out the Women in Music event, but
Yes,
it's
do it.
already happened by the time you see this.
Never
Sorry.
mind.
All right. Have a good one.
Yes.